Hi, I'm Lisa Rubel from Love to Color My World, and I'm here today to share with you another pattern from Sit and Sew Fabrics using their pre-cut kits as part of our Skill Builder series to help you become a better quilter. Today I've got the Sandwiches kit, which is a very easy two-seam block made with pre-cut strips. So this quilt uses 30 blocks. That means 90 strips that are already pre-cut for you, so you can dive right into the sewing and skip over the tedious cutting. I'll walk you through how to make one of the blocks, as well as give you some best practices tips for pressing in order to make your blocks and your whole quilt go together more seamlessly. So let's get started. So if we look inside the kit, you'll find the 90 pre-cut pieces to make our sandwich blocks, and then backing fabric and binding fabric. So you have everything you need fabric-wise, you just need to provide the batting and of course doing the sewing part. So there are 6 pieces cut from each fabric in your kit. So you'll make 2 blocks where the fabric is on the outside, so that's using up 4 of those pieces with a contrasting strip in the center. And then 2 blocks where that fabric is on the inside, and you'll use contrasting strips on the outside. Now what's fun about that is that even though all the pieces are prepared for you, you get to be the designer and choose which fabrics you're going to put together. And I like to go high contrast with mine and put a darker print with lighter prints and vice versa, because it will help the pattern in the blocks stand out a little bit more as you put your quilt together. And of course the kit also comes with the pattern. It's got the picture on the front, and then inside it shows you how to sort your fabrics like I just talked about, and how to assemble the blocks, and then how to lay it out to get that kind of woven look for the finished Sandwiches quilt. So let's take a look at how one of these blocks go together. We're using 3 2.5 by 6.5 inch long pieces. And you're going to put 1 in the middle and the 2 matching on the outside. And I'm going to flip 1 piece over so they're right sides together with the raw edges matching. Put in a couple pins to hold them. And then we're going to stitch down this edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Pay close attention to your seam allowance, because we'll be measuring it after we get these 3 pieces sewn together so that you can make all of your blocks consistent. So I've got the first 2 pieces sewn together. Going to add the 3rd one on before I press. So I'm going to line up those top and bottom edges, that long straight edge, and pin and stitch. So when we go to press the blocks, we're going to press away from the center. So you can either start on the back and kind of go out from each side, or start on the front and make sure your seam allowance is pointing out as you press. I recommend pressing both sides of the block. So if your block is not exactly 6.5 inches square, there are a couple things you can do going forward in your blocks so that they all end up the same. And if your first one is really far off, like a 1/4 inch off, you may want to pick it open and re-sew it. But if your quilt block is skinnier than 6.5 inches, that means that your seam allowance is too wide. So when you go to sew, go a scant 1/4 inch seam, a little bit less than a 1/4 inch, so that you get closer to 6.5. And if your block is too big, that means that your seam allowance is too narrow. And that's actually an easier one to fix, because if you want, you can just fold it back over and stitch again and leave that first seam line in. But your goal for each block should be to have them as close to 6.5 inches square as you can, so that when you put them all together they match well. This is a great exercise for perfecting your 1/4 inch seam, so when you get to more complicated quilts, you'll have a solid 1/4 inch seam to fall back on, and so all of your pieces will always go together. So there are 30 of these blocks to make. Like I said, you get to be the designer and choose which fabrics you're going to put together in each one. You can lay all your blocks out in advance or do more of a grab as you go. What I would do for piecing these is to set up some chain piecing so that I'm just continually piecing these strips together and then go back and press at the end rather than doing every single block individually. But it's up to whatever is comfortable for you, but get all 30 of your blocks made and then we'll look at assembling the quilt. So once you have your 30 blocks made, it's time to lay out the quilt. I recommend using a design wall, or if you don't have one, the floor works fine as well. You'll get your blocks all laid out and then we'll number them so that you keep them in order and in the right direction as you sew them together. Let's take a look at my first 2 rows. Our quilt layout will be 6 rows of 5 blocks each, and I've got 2 laid out just to talk about how we put them together. You'll notice, and you'll see it in the quilt diagram as well in your pattern, that the blocks rotate to give you that kind of woven look of the sandwich blocks. So when you lay out your rows, make sure that every other block is going in the opposite direction, and your second row will be the opposite. So the first block will be up and down, and then the second horizontal, and so on and so on. So you want to make sure that you don't have 2 blocks going the same way touching. So once you have all that set up, what I like to do is use masking tape and put little markers on them. So this would be A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and then B1, B2, and so on. So that way when I'm sewing them together, I know that they're still in the right order. I don't have to worry about getting that confused. And when you've got a directional block like this, the other thing you can do is always put the masking tape in the same spot. So say the upper left corner of your block. And that way, if for some reason your block falls and it turns, you'll know, well, it's supposed to be upper left corner, so I turn it this way. But do make sure that it's at least a 1/4 inch in from the edges so that you don't end up sewing through the masking tape. So the next step is to sew the blocks together into rows. And so you'll flip the first block over and align them with the raw edges, and then pin it in place and sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now after you have the entire row sewn together, you can go over and press them. And when you press it in the first row, you want to press all the seams in the same direction. And then in the second row, press the seams in the opposite direction. And that way when you go to sew the rows together, those seam allowances will nest, and it will make your corners much cleaner and much easier to put together. So just remember that the odd rows get pressed in one direction and the even in the other. The little memory device I use for that is I press the even rows to the left, because even and left both have 4 letters. So get your blocks sewn into rows, and then we'll look at joining those rows. So I've joined my 2 rows, and now I'm moving on to pressing. And I'm going to press my second row, the even row, to the left, and my first row, the odd row, to the right. And as I said, that's so that when we join the rows, those seam allowances will nest, which will just make everything easier. Okay, so to join a row, I'm going to lay them like they should be, and then flip the top one over so that right sides are together, and I'm going to line up those seams. See how those seam allowances nest right there? That will make my stitching and pressing easy for this row. And if you notice, I tend to pin behind the seam because when I'm sewing, if I pin in front of the seam, I have to take the pin out before we get to the part where it matters, what I'm having the pin in for. So by putting the pin behind, I can leave the pin in place almost all the way until the sewing machine needle gets up to my seam lines. And so I just think it helps me to make more accurate seams. So I've got one more to do. And then I always put a pin at the end as well, because otherwise I feel like the pieces start to drift away. So that helps me stay straight till the end. So you're going to sew down your whole row with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and if you have some blocks that are not quite 6.5, so you've got a little gap in the fabric, you can kind of sew it to fit by easing it, either pulling tight or scrunching it a little bit to get those blocks to fit together so that your seams match up. So sew your 6 block rows together, and then we'll have the finished quilt top, and we're almost done. So I've got my first 2 rows sewn together, and I am going to press them now. For this pressing, you can press in either direction because you are not having to match up any seams, so you can press them up, press them down. It does not matter. So you'll continue joining rows until you have your entire quilt top done. Like I said, I just did 2 for the demonstration purpose. You can see how they look. You've got that cool woven effect from the rotating of the blocks and the contrast between the light and dark fabric. And once you're done with your quilt top, you've got your backing here, so you'll layer your backing right side down and then batting quilt top right side up, baste it, quilt it however you like, and then you've got pre-cut binding, so you can move right on to binding without having to cut those strips. Nice little handy feature in this kit. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video about the Sandwiches quilt. It's a quick and easy quilt to make and a great quilt for practicing your 1/4 inch seam allowance. I can't wait to see what your quilt looks like.